So, Stephen, if you could have voted, how would you have voted and why?
Leave. I would have voted Leave. I would vote Leave right now. I think it would be a great opportunity for young people like myself. We can regain control of our laws, which means that we will have more sovereignty, and I as a voter will have more say over how our country works and how our country runs. It means that the £10 billion that we send to the European Union could be spent on young people's priorities like housing. It means that we can regain control of our borders, which is great for young people like myself because immigration pushes down wages, and it means that house prices will hopefully go down as there'll be less demand for houses. So I think it'll be a great opportunity for young people.
And very much it's about control and having control.
It's very much about control, and it's a very personal thing for me. I think, look, the European Union should not be running these huge aspects of our lives, and I think it's really important that young people have that say in our future, and we're able to talk to those politicians and say, look, if you're doing something we don't like Jean-Claude Juncker, we can get rid of you. We can't do that at the moment. We should have our politicians to be accountable to us as young people.
And Melanie, you disagree, don't you? If you could have voted, you would have voted Remain.
I would have voted Remain, but even now, the Leavers who voted Leave in 2016, most of them won't get the Brexit that they voted for because they weren't able to vote on the terms. I think what the Brexit that we're going towards is a hard Brexit, which means hard borders, it means tariffs, it means that for especially our generation, the tank in the economy that is coming, even there were recent statements from Mark Carney about, the ability of banks to lend after housing prices fall. We think that our generation particularly is going to suffer from our break from the European Union. It's going to be terrible for our generation. I think our politicians know this and aren't acknowledging it, knowing that they want to take this short-term crash for the possibility of any long-term prosperity in our country that I personally don't think is going to come about.
And you were shaking your head through all of that, Stephen.
We've heard it all before. We've heard it in the referendum. It was going to be a total disaster. We were going to lose 500,000 jobs. House prices were going to collapse 18%. We were going to have a total disaster. The economy was going to be in recession immediately. None of that has happened. We've heard it all before. This is Project Fear 2.0. It's going to be absolutely brilliant for young people.
So how do you feel being called part of Project Fear?
I think the fact that, Leavers are willing to disregard the fact that we weren't able to vote on the terms, right? If we're talking about democracy, if you're talking about supporting the voters, the voters and the Leavers' decision, then they should be able to vote for the Brexit that they wanted, right?
So is your point more about the fact that it's not what was originally put to us? Is that more your point?
It's the need for a second referendum. The fact that he's saying that there was no tank in the economy straight after the vote, let's wait for March and see what happens. Because if there's no deal Brexit, it's still not being agreed what happens to Northern Ireland. People are forgetting that it's only 20 years ago when there was mass violence in that nation. When we bring hard borders, when we tank businesses who are going to be subjected to tariffs, we're not going to be able to engage with the free trade that the EU gives us, we are going to suffer.
Stephen?
I think this is total scaremongering. You're talking about violence. I mean, do you accept that in the referendum in 2016 that your side got it wrong? None of this stuff has happened. Do you accept that?
No, I don't accept that.
But it hasn't. We haven't had a recession. We haven't lost 500,000 jobs.
But it hasn't happened yet because we haven't we haven't seen the drawn-up terms. We think even with, for instance, the Good Friday Agreement, when people voted on that, they had the drawn-up terms. Democracy has not been met. The negotiations are being managed by politicians who want hard Brexit, who want a no deal that doesn't adhere to the democratic standards that we're supposed to be abiding by.
I'm going to move to John. Quick word from you just to respond.
Very quickly, I think that Brexit isn't about tariffs and introducing trade barriers. It's about going around the world and doing new trade deals that will help young people. We can reduce tariffs on goods from outside the European Union, which will help us, help our generation.
And I'm going to leave it there. I know we could go on about this. And the thing I really love is your enthusiasm on both sides and the passion you have. And John, that's the key thing, isn't it? As a nation, it is something people are talking about, but there is clearly divisions. And what have you seen as a pollster?
Well, I mean, the crucial, yes, indeed, we are still very evenly divided as a nation over this subject. And many people feel very passionately about it on both sides of the argument. I have to say, however, Stephen's very articulately given his side of the case, but the truth is that so far as younger people are concerned, far more of them are with Melanie than they are with Stephen, because one of the divisions that underlies the relatively even balance of opinion towards Brexit across the country as a whole is that younger voters were much more likely to vote for Remain back in June 2016, and they're still much more likely to do so now, whereas frankly it's people of my generation, older people, who are much more likely to vote for Brexit. But the truth is also both Melanie and Stephen are potentially going to be crucial to the future of Brexit. If Melanie were to get her wish of to get another referendum, it looks as though the outcome could well be determined by those who did not vote 2 years ago, including those like Melanie and Stephen who could not vote 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Because insofar as the polls do show a small lead for Remain in the moment, a crucial element of that is that those who did not vote 2 years ago seem to be more inclined towards Remain.
Yeah. Fascinating as ever to talk to you, John. Melanie, Stephen, thank you ever so much for your time as well.